And then I wanted to finish by saying, with the way that Illinois funds schools, we are in the bottom 25% of funding throughout the district based on a lot of the local property taxes. So just to give you a little picture of who we are and where we've come from. A number of years ago, our district adopted a new vision along with a new superintendent and school board that had come in. And the vision being that we were going to rank within the top 25% of districts in the state of Illinois. For a long while there, we sat anywhere between 50 and 85%. And so we really wanted to have a strong vision that was measurable and that can drive everything that we've done. On this slide here, I talk briefly about the initiatives that we've put in place to help reach that top 25%. The first being full-day kindergarten. We do believe that early intervention is key, and we've worked really hard to implement full-day kindergarten across our district, and we're lucky enough to be able to do that. Currently, with class sizes sitting between 18 and 20 students. We've also adopted a full inclusion co-teaching model. So almost all of our students with special needs are in a gen ed classroom full-time with a full-time special ed teacher in the classroom working with them. So we do believe that mainstreaming and inclusion is the best way to reach our students. And so we're lucky enough to be able to provide that support for our students. We do have a full co-taught classroom at every grade level in every school throughout the district. And then finally, to help us also get to that top 25%, we brought on the one-to-one technology model. And that's what I'd like to talk to you a little bit more about today. So our one-to-one journey started a number of years ago with a classroom teacher by the name of Shannon Soger, who was working at Piper Elementary School, and she was working on a master's program in curriculum instruction. And she went to our superintendent at the time and asked, you know, can I have 5 computers in my classroom to work on a small, kind of a small group model, and see if I can impact my students through some action research. Our superintendent at the time, Dr. Stan Fields, currently our superintendent, he said, 5 computers, 6 computers, what's that going to do? Let's give you a full classroom and let's see what we can do with that. So out of Shannon's classroom was born our one-to-one program. And in August of 2012, just 2 years after Shannon had begun with that one-to-one program, we went full one-to-one with all 4,000 of our students having iPads or laptops in the classroom. So our one-to-one program is kindergarten through 8th grade. Our students do use their devices in school. They are free to take them home on evenings and weekends to extend their school day. As well as we're really looking into what can we do in the summer to make sure that our kids are learning. And so that technology, I'll talk a little bit more about that in a bit, is really expanding the school year through the summer months as well. We focused heavily on the SAMR model. If you're not familiar with the SAMR model, I encourage you to Google it. Shannon Soger, who was that classroom teacher who's now our instructional director, is somebody who's really worked in this with this model and brought it to our district. SAMR stands for substitution, augmentation, modification, and redefinition, and looking at what technology can really do for us and not just be a substitute for a worksheet or a book that we may read within a textbook. So we've really focused on that model to make sure that our implementation was really top-notch. And then finally, I'd like to share that we were awarded as an Apple Distinguished Program for a number of years because of the work that we're doing to impact our students, as well as with our teachers in our wonderful professional development program. So 2 years ago, I had reached out to Maayan after hearing just a little bit about them to help fulfill a need. As a literacy director in the district, I was charged with finding a way that we can bring a technology and bridge that with a literacy program. Quite often you hear critics out there saying that kids shouldn't be reading online, or what people are saying. So at the time, I was looking for a program that helped foster an independent reading, allowing students to be able to read independently at their level anytime they wanted. I was really looking at authentic text. With the advent of Common Core, we were looking for a program that brought us some real authentic text that was really focused on nonfiction at the time. A lot of other programs that we looked out there had books written by graduate students or students, books that were not written by, I'm going to say, real authors. But we're lucky enough to be able to find Maayan, where if we like one of their books, we can go and purchase it on Amazon. We can find it somewhere. Kids can look in the library and see the book. So it's a platform that really has that authentic text built into it. Given our bilingual population, our ELL population, we also have a number of bilingual classrooms, primarily at the lower grades, kindergarten, first and second grade. And so we were also looking for a platform that was able to bring us some of that Spanish text. And then finally, we wanted to make sure that we gave our students 24/7 access. As a district, we realized that our students were not going home to homes that were fortunate enough to have libraries at their home or to be able to travel to the local public library. And so we wanted to make sure that when our kids left our doors with their iPads or their laptops, they were walking out with a great number of books that they can read and extend their school day with. And so that's where we really found Maayan to be a great fit for what we do. So our implementation of Maayan, we use it in a number of ways. We've recently been working on a reading workshop model or a balanced literacy program where we focus heavily on small group, guided groups. We have mini lessons. Our teachers are doing shared reading, everyday read alouds. All of those components coming together have been great with Maayan as well. So you'll see, if you walk into some of our classrooms, and you'll hear Leah talk about a bit, guided reading groups. Sometimes they're ran with real hardcover books sitting in front of them, and sometimes students have their iPads or laptops during a guided reading group. Independent reading, most of our classrooms across the district, teachers really allow students to decide and choose what they'd like to read on. So you walk into a classroom at a given day during some independent reading time, you may see half the class reading books, hardcover, and you may see the other half reading on their iPad or laptop. And then finally, we're really focusing a lot on science and social studies integration. Because Maayan was able to deliver so much nonfiction text, we're finding that we're able to build units around a lot of the books on their platform. I know that my fifth grade group recently did a biography unit and was able to pull in Maayan through their social studies text and really bridge the gap between literacy and that science and social studies piece. All right, let's see if I can move the slide here. So out of our partnership, I want to talk a little bit about some of the successes that we've had. The first being snow and cold weather days. Ironic that I'm talking about that here today. Last year, when we came back from our winter break in January, we immediately had 2 days off of school because of cold weather days. And it was interesting. I'm sitting at home and I was able to log into Maayan, and ironically, I was finding that students were logging in and reading on Maayan while being at home. Teachers were reaching out to their students, and whether it was through social media, email, letting the parents know that, hey, you can log on Maayan and do some reading while you're at home. And it was, we were amazed at how much our kids were actually reading when we were not in school. That kind of stumbled upon and moved into what we piloted last summer, and we're happy to announce that we are going to continue this year, is a virtual summer school. Knowing that we are one-to-one and all of our students do have access to an iPad or a laptop, why can't we extend the school day or school year into the summer? Why can't we have students go home with a library of books over the summer? And so we focused on a virtual summer school program and had a large number of our students involved in that. And we're happy to say of the students who are involved in that program, bringing their devices home from June through August, over 75% of the students were able to maintain or increase their Fontes of Pinnell level from May until August. So really that virtual summer school piece was a huge game changer for us, and we're hoping to expand that this summer to a greater number of students. I've talked a little bit about at-home libraries. So Maayan has been able to provide text to students in their homes that may not normally have them. And then finally, talking a little bit about preschool expansion, knowing that earlier intervention is key, and knowing that we need to be doing a lot of work with our students before they even come to school. We've recently partnered with Maayan as well as the local library in our district to offer Maayan to every 3- and 4-year-old in the entire town of Berwyn. So all of our students all of our young students are able to go to the library, get a login for Mayan, and have access to the books at home. And so we see the success that we've had in our district with what we've been doing really born out of that partnership with Mayan. So we're really happy about that. Talking a little bit about our most recent winter break challenge, I've got some statistics up here for you. So we were out of school from Saturday, December 20th through Monday, January 5th. And over the course of those 2 weeks that we were out of school, we were constantly tweeting out how much our students were reading. Teachers were reaching out to their students, letting them know that so-and-so read 20 minutes a day, who can beat that student. We really had a great challenge going on within our district. And if you take a look at these stats, at Kamensky alone, we had 721 hours read on Mayan alone. Just over the course of those 2 weeks. That's over 4,289 books that we had opened. And I'm willing to bet that if our students didn't have access to these devices and a program like Mayan, our students wouldn't have been reading this much for those 2 weeks. And so once again, a program like this married with a one-to-one program is really a game changer. And I hope that other districts are able to see some success out of this as well. So at this time, I'd like to pass the mic over to Leah O'Donnell, and Leah will be able to talk to us a little bit about our work in Common Core and how we've been able to use Mayan for formative assessment. But before I do, Lynn, have there been any questions that have come up that we can help answer?
Not at this point, but it's a great time to encourage anybody that has questions about one-to-one and the Berwyn South School District to please write those in your chat window. I will. And I had one comment and an actual question. Because of your unique demographic makeup, can you share how you've also been able to get those families engaged with your vision of literacy for your students?
I think the biggest piece is it was a mindset for us in our community, and this is just what we were going to do. We had quite a bit of I wouldn't say quite a bit. We did have some pushback with the one-to-one program at the very beginning, but realizing that we were explaining to families and educating them that we were really trying to prepare our students for a future outside of high school, whether it was college and careers, knowing that technology was going to be needed, and so. We talked a little bit with the families about student engagement and how technology has really engaged students. And now it has just become what we do here. It's just part of our culture. Parents and community members, for the most part, are on board with what we do. And we've had nothing but success.
Perfect. I do have a question that has popped in. Could you talk a little bit about how you rolled out your virtual summer school?
Sure. It was... if I can remember correctly, because we're already starting planning for this past summer, we allowed our students to take home their devices on the very last day of school. There was a small fee that was covering the insurance for the device over the course of the summer. Each student was enrolled into a classroom with a virtual teacher, and that teacher was responsible for setting goals for those individual students and making sure that they were meeting them. And so the teacher would meet virtually with the students, whether it was over email, whether it was a phone call, whether it was a Skype session, usually once every 2 weeks, and measuring the student success and kind of being a cheerleader for what they were doing. We were using Mayan at the time, as well as Mathletics and IXL to focus on some of the math portions as well. I hope that answers the questions.
Great. There's another question. Are all of your students connected to the internet at home? And if not, what percentage of households are?
We don't have a hard statistic for that. However, we're willing to say that a majority of our students do have internet access at this time. Knowing that this is just what we do here, parents have really bought on and worked to find a way to be able to connect to the internet. And if our students don't have internet at home, we hear stories all the time of students needing to go to the laundromat with mom on a Friday night to get laundry done, and the local laundromat has free Wi-Fi, or they're going down the street to McDonald's and grabbing a dinner and then being able to log on to Wi-Fi as well. So we do reach out to our students in that way. But then also knowing that there are going to be a few students that we won't be able to reach. We do open our buildings. Most of our schools open our buildings early in the morning. Here at Kamensky, we open up at 7:30 for a full hour before school starts. And what we have is an all-access club. And so we have students be able to come in the gym, have access to our Wi-Fi, and get their homework or any projects that might need to be done here at school outside of the school hours. So we do try to reach out and accommodate most of our students and their families.